This is a picture of a man named Scott Harrison. Scott was an events promoter in New York City for years. He knows everybody, and his job was essentially to get all of the important people, the wealthy people, the influential people, the pretty people, all in the same room or the same club or at the same party at the same time. So his job was essentially to know everybody who's anybody on the scene. He was sponsored, actually, by certain beverage companies and paid thousands of dollars a month just to be seen in public drinking a particular brand of beverage. He talks about how he got so good at projecting a particular kind of image, he says, that when he knew that his picture was being taken, he would tilt his wrist to just the right degree so that the photograph would reveal that, yes, he was in fact wearing a Rolex. But what happened for him is that having everything in some way robbed him of life, and he found himself bored, suffering from a sort of low-grade despair, a sort of death by wallpaper and fluorine. And he heard about a group called Mercy Ships, doctors who give of their time in the most under-resourced places in the world to take care of kind of basic needs that people aren't able to take care of. And he heard about a ship off the west coast of Africa where a group of doctors were doing facial reconstruction surgery on kids with severely deformed and disfigured faces. I've seen some of the photos, literally kids with growths that come out down to here, and these doctors would essentially do surgery and rebuild their face so that these kids could smile again. And they were looking for a photographer who would document the before and after. And so Scott applied and essentially kind of talked his way on the ship as a photographer, and then once they said yes, taught himself how to take pictures. And so he gets on the ship and he starts taking these photos, and he discovers that the statistics are somewhere around 80% of children in third world situations, severely under-resourced situations. Somewhere around 80% of diseases are caused by a lack of access to clean drinking water. And his work sort of plunges him in to a sort of face-to-face encounter with the global water crisis. And this thing begins to move in him. I ought to give my life to this water issue. So he eventually makes it home and decides to start a group called Charity Water to do something about the water crisis. So he realizes, first and foremost, I need to get essentially the best designers, and I need to figure out how to, as clearly and compellingly and quickly, give people an idea just how serious and severe the crisis is. So he began releasing these images to sort of educate and inform and motivate people. This is one of the first ones he released. 1 billion people on the planet don't have access to clean drinking water. That's 1 in 6 of us. Start by helping one. charitywater.org. Then he released this image. Yeah. And then he decided the real issue to tackle was a lot of times when you give money, like if you're going to give money to drill a well so that people who don't have access to clean drinking water, the 1 billion people in the world who don't, one of the problems when you give money is your question is always how much money actually goes to get people water and how much money goes to all sorts of other things that never actually address the problem. So we created 2 different sort of development funds and said, I'll raise all my administrative costs this way so that when I ask people for the money, 100% of it, every single penny that people give will go right to drilling wells so people who don't have access to clean drinking water can get it.